Kingdom Plantae. Can you recall? Why do we call as plants producers on land? What are the difference between subkingdoms cryptogam and phanerogam? Differentiate between thallophytes and bryophytes. Give any two examples of pteridophyta. 3.1 Kingdom Plantae. In earlier chapter we have studied different aspects of classification. Kingdom Plantae is further classified on the basis of characteristics like absence or presence of seeds, vascular tissues, differentiation of plant body, etc. Phanerogams are commonly called seed producing plants. They produce special reproductive structures that are visible. Phanero means visible. Cryptogams are spore producing plants and do not produce seeds and flowers. They reproduce sexually by gametes, but sex organs are concealed. Cryptos means hidden, gamos means marriage. Classification of Kingdom Plantae is represented as follows. Kingdom Plantae is divided into two subkingdoms, cryptogams and phanerogams. Cryptogams, non-vascular plants and vascular plants. In non-vascular plants, they are thallophyta and bryophyta. Vascular plants are pteridophyta. In vascular plants, in phanerogams, gymnosperms and angiosperms are there, and in angiosperm, dicotyledon and monocotyledon are there. 3.2 Salient features of major plant groups under cryptogams. Division Thallophyta. Members are mostly aquatic. Few grow on other plants as epiphytes. Some grow symbiotically and epizoic, that is, growing or living non-parasitically on the exterior of living organisms. Aquatic algae grow in marine or fresh water. Most of them are free living while some are symbiotic. Plant body is thalloid, that is undifferentiated into root, stem and leaves. They may be small, unicellular, microscopic like chlorella, non-motile, chlamydomonas motile. They can be multicellular, unbranched, filamentous like spirogyra, or branched, filamentous like chara. Sargassum, a huge macroscopic seaweed which measure more than 60 meters in length, is also an alga. The algal cell walls contain either polysaccharides like cellulose or glucose, or a variety of protein, or both. Reserve food is in the form of starch and its other forms. Reproduction takes place by vegetative, so it is printing mistake. Reproduction takes place by vegetative, asexual and sexual way. The life cycle shows phenomenon of alternation of generation, dominant haploid and reduced diploid phases. Algae are classified as per its pigments like chlorophyll, xanthophylls and phycobilin. A. Chlorophycia, green algae. These are mostly fresh water, few brackish water and marine. Plant body is unicellular, colonial, filamentous. Cell wall contains cellulose. Chloroplasts are of various shapes like discoid, plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, ribbon-shaped or spiral with chlorophyll A and B. The stored food is in the form of starch. Pyrenoids are located on chloroplast. Members are rich in protein, so used as food, used even by space travelers. Example, chlorella, chlamydomonas, spirogyra, chara, volvox, eulothrix, etc. Phaeophycia, brown algae. Plant body mostly marine, rarely freshwater. Simple, branched or filamentous. Example, ectocarpus. Profusely branched, Petallonia. Cell wall has cellulose, fucins and algin. Photosynthetic pigments like chlorophyll A and C and fucoxanthins are present. Mannitol, laminarin and starch are stored food materials. Body is usually differentiated into hold-fast stalk called stipe and leaf-like photosynthetic organs called frond. Many species of marine algae are used as food. Example, Porphyra, Laminaria, Sargassum. Some species are used for production of Hydrocolloids, example ectocarpus, F. fucus, etc. F. fucus नहीं है, वो fucus है. Rhodophysia is red algae. Plant body. These are found in marine as well as fresh water on the surface, deep sea and brackish water. Plant body is thalloid. Cell contains chlorophyll A and D and phycoerythrin. Cell wall is made up of cellulose, pectin, glued with other carbohydrates. Stored food is in the form of floridum starch. Commercially important agar-agar, which is used as solidifying agent in tissue culture medium, is obtained from red algae. Example: Chondrus, Batrachospermum, Porphyra, Gelidium, Gracilaria, Pulsiphonia, etc. Do you know brown algae helps may grow up to 100 meters in height? Find out more information now about Sargasso Sea. Bryophyta. Bryon, moss, and phyton means plant. Bryophytes are mostly terrestrial plants. They are found in moist, shady places, but they need water for fertilization and completion of their life cycle. Hence, they are called amphibious plants. They include approximately 960 genera and about 25,000 species. Life cycle of bryophytes shows sporophytic and gametophytic stages. Vegetative plant body is thalloid or leafy, which represents gametophytic generation. Spore producing capsule represents sporophytic generation. Bryophytes have root-like structure called rhizoids. Rhizoids are unicellular in liverworts while multicellular in mosses. Rhizoids absorb water and minerals and also help in fixation of thallus on the substratum. Bryophytes are divided into two groups: liverworts and mosses. Liverworts, Hepaticea. These are lower membrane of Bryophyta. These are primitive group of bryophytes. Gametophyte possesses flat body called thallus. The thallus is green, dorsiventral prostrate with unicellular rhizoids. Example: Ricea and Marchantia. Hornworts, Anthocerota. These members possess flattened thallus. The thallus produces horny structures which are called sporophytes, hence the name hornworts. Example: Anthoceros. B is mosses, muscae. These are advanced members of Bryophyta which possess erect plant body. Gametophytic phase of the life cycle includes two stages, namely protonema stage and leafy stage. The protonema is prostrate, green, branched and filamentous. It is called juvenile gametophyte. It bears many buds. Leafy stage is produced from each bud. Thus, protonema helps in the vegetative propagation. The leafy stage has erect, slender, stem-like colloid, main axis bearing spiral leaf-like structure, phylloid. It is fixed in soil by multicellular branched rhizoids. This stage bears sex organs. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation and budding in secondary protonema. Examples are Funaria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum. Economic importance. Some mosses provide food for herbivorous mammals, birds, etc. Species of sphagnum, a moss, provides peat used as fuel. Mosses are also used as packing material for transport of living materials because they have significant water holding capacity. Just like lichens, mosses are the first living beings to grow on rocks. They decompose rocks to form soil and make them suitable for growth of higher plants. Dense layer of mosses help in prevention of soil erosion, thus acts as a soil binder. Then we have Pteridophyta. Pteron means feather, phyton means plant. Evolutionarily, pteridophytes are the first vascular and true land plants, hence considered as the first successful terrestrial plant with true roots, stems and leaf. These plants have a primitive conducting system and they are the only cryptogams with vascular tissue. The late Paleozoic era is regarded as the age of pteridophytes. The group has about 400 genera and 11,000 species. The plant consists of pinnate feather-like leaves. Leaves may be small called microphyls, example Selanginella, or large called macrophyls, example Nephrolepis fern. Pteridophytes grow in moist and shady places. Pteridophytes show sporophytic and gametophytic stages in life cycle. Example, ferns, horsetail. Some are aquatic, azolla, marsilia, xerophytic, equisetum, and epiphytic, lycopodium. Pteridophytes show heteromorphic alternation of generation in which the sporophyte is diploid, dominant, autotrophic, and independent. It is differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. The primary root is short-lived and soon replaced by adventitious root, while the stem may be aerial or underground. Leaves may be scaly, as in equisetum, simple and sessile, as in lycopodium, or large and pinnately compound, as in nephrolepis or fern. In these members, xylem consists of only tracheids and phloem consists of only sieve cells. Secondary growth is not seen in pteridophytes due to absence of cambium. Pteridophytes are classified as Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Sphenospida, and Pteropsida. Economic importance: pteridophytes are used for medicinal purpose as soil binders. Many varieties are grown as ornamental plants. 3.3 Salient features of major plant group under phanerogams. A. Gymnosperm. Gymnos means naked, sperma means seed. There are about 70 genera and 1000 living species of gymnosperms in world. In India, it is represented by 16 genera and 53 species. Most of the gymnosperms are evergreen, shrubs, or woody trees. These are primitive group of flowering plants producing naked seeds. Seeds are not covered by fruit, that is ovary. They are vascular plant having xylem with tracheids and phloem with sieve cells. The plant body is sporophyte. It is differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. The root system is taproot type. In some root forms, symbiotic association with other life forms. Keraloids, root of cycas show association with blue-green algae, and root of pinus show association with endophytic fungi called mycorrhiza. In gymnosperms, stem is mostly erect, aerial, solid, and cylindrical. Secondary growth is seen in gymnosperms due to presence of cambium. In cycas, it is usually unbranched, while in conifers, it is branched. The leaves are diamorphic. The foliage leaves are green, simple, needle-like, or pinnately compound, whereas scale leaves are small, membranous, and brown. Spores are produced by microsporophyll male and megasporophyll female. Economic importance: cycas is grown as ornamental plant. Pinus is used as source of pine wood, turpentine oil, and pine resins. Do you know gymnosperms like Ginkgo biloba is called living fossil? It is because the plant is found in living as well as fossil form, and the number of fossil forms is much more than the living forms. Gymnosperms vary in their size. Example, Sequoia sempervirens is the tallest living plant in the world. It is commonly called coast redwood of California. The height of the plant is about 366 feet. Taxodium mucronatum has a girth of about 125 feet. Zamia pymeia is the smallest gymnosperm, and it is about 8 cm only. Angiosperm. Angios means enclosed vessel. Sperma means seed. Angiosperms are the most advanced group of flowering plants. In these plants, the seeds are enclosed within the fruit, that is ovary. Angiosperms is a group of highly evolved plants primarily adapted to terrestrial habitat. They vary in size. Angiosperms show heteromorphic alternation of generation in which the sporophyte is diploid, dominant, autotrophic, and independent. The gametophytes, male or female, are recessive, haploid, and dependent on the sporophyte. Angiosperms are heterosporous. Microspores, commonly called pollens, are formed in microsporangia or anther. They develop in highly specialized sporophyll or stamen, while megaspores are found in megasporangia or ovules borne on highly specialized megasporophyll called carpel. Beside the essential worlds of microsporophylls and retium and megasporophyll gynecium, there are accessory worlds, namely calyx, sepals, and corolla petals arranged together to form flower. Do you know? Wolffia is the smallest angiosperm, 1 millimeter in size, and eucalyptus grows to over 100 meters. Angiosperms are subdivided into two classes. Dicotyledonnae. These plants have two cotyledons in their embryo. They have a tap root system and the stem is branched. Leaves show reticulate venation while the flowers show tetra or pentamerous symmetry. Vascular bundles are conjoint, collateral and open type. Cambium is present between xylem and phloem for secondary growth. In dicot, secondary growth is commonly found. Example: Helianthus anus, sunflower; Hibiscus rosa sinensis, China rose. Monocotyledonnae. These plants have single cotyledon in their embryo. They have adventitious root system and stem is rarely branched. Leaf generally have sheathing leaf base and parallel venation, while the flowers are generally trimerous. The vascular bundles are conjoined, collateral and closed type. In monocots, except few plants, secondary growth is absent. Example: Zea, maize, sorghum vulgare, jowar. 3.4 Plant life cycle and alternation of generation. Life cycle of a plant includes two phases or distinct generation, namely sporophyte diploid 2n and gametophyte haploid n. Some special diploid cells of sporophyte divide by meiosis to produce haploid cells. These haploid cells divide mitotically to give rise to gametophyte. The gametophyte produces male and female gametes which fuse during fertilization to produce diploid zygote. It divides by mitosis to form diploid sporophyte. The sporophytic and gametophytic generation generally occur alternately in the life cycle of a plant. This phenomena is called alternation of generation. Distinct alternation of these two generations is observed in bryophytes and pteridophytes. In gymnosperms and angiosperms, gametophyte is much reduced and exists within sporophyte. In algae, based upon the nature of dominant phase in life cycle, it is called haplontic, diplontic or haplodiplontic life cycle. In bryophytes, haploid gametophyte is dominant. It is photosynthetic, independent, thalloid or erect phase. Sporophyte is short-lived, multicellular and depend totally on particularly on gametophyte for nutrition and anchorage. Whereas in pteridophytes, sporophyte is dominant, independent and vascular plant body. Haploid multicellular gametophyte is generally autotrophic and short-lived. It alternates with sporophyte. Types of life cycle, it's given, you can read. So we will read this. Diplontic. Here mitotic division occur only in diploid cells. Gametes formed through meiosis are haploid in nature. Diploid zygote divide mitotically. In this process, production of multicellular diploid organism or in the production of many diploid single cell takes place. Example: animals. Haplontic. Here mitosis occurs in haploid cells. It results in the formation of single haploid cells or a multicellular haploid organism. These forms produce the gametes through mitosis. Zygote is formed after fertilization. This cell is the only diploid cell in the entire life cycle of the organism. Thus the same zygotic cell later undergoes meiosis. Example: some algae and fungi. Haplodiplontic. Here the mitosis occurs in both diploid and haploid cells. These organisms undergo through a phase in which they are multicellular and haploid and phase in which they are multicellular and diploid. Example: land, plant and in many algae. Thank you.